Good afternoon, everybody. Been a while since I've been on here. I wanted to get on here because I did not have time to write up the forecast for the next 10 days. I am going to be writing up the forecast for the full moon eclipse. That'll be a big newsletter, but I did not have a chance to write any sort of newsletter. So I decided to go on here live. I wrote some notes and we'll take you through the next 10 days. Now, right now we are in a Platonic phase. If you went to my last newsletter, you'll know 29th, 30th, 1st, and the 2nd. We are in a Platonic energy, and anytime we're dealing with Platonic energy, we're dealing with wake-up calls for all of us. We're dealing with death, drama, chaos, rebirth, transformation. And this energy usually takes a life or two, especially like the rich and the famous. And as we saw in the news just a few days ago or a day ago, Carl Reiner had passed away. So there you go. It always takes a life. I have not looked at the news lately. Like I said, I've been kind of off the grid, which has been a very big blessing in disguise for me, being off the grid. So I don't know a whole lot of things that are going on in the world. Like I said, I haven't been following the news the last several days, and it has actually been a blessing. Put my glasses on. Okay, so let's get started. Well, July 1st, that's today, we have Saturn going retrograde, and it's moving back into Capricorn. So, how do I explain this? Saturn, as of March 21st, 2020, slipped into Aquarius, and it stayed there until today, and it's moved back into Capricorn. So the last 3 months are going to be a precursor. The energy and things that are going on in the world are a precursor to when this planet moves back into Aquarius, which is on December 17th, 2020. Saturn jumps right back into Aquarius and stays for the next 2.5 to 3 years. So you were getting a precursor to what the world is going to be like. Now, I know I'm trying to stay as positive as I can, but that is what's getting ready to happen. When you're dealing with Saturn, the planet of, Saturn is the planet of karma, first of all. It's karmic. It's a karmic planet, but it's also the planet of discipline and structure. In its negative, it is the planet of disease and fear. Back now with its governor, Capricorn, so politics will be involved, major changes within the political field and the political realm. When it's in Aquarius, Aquarius is the planet or the sign of brotherly love. It is humanitarianism. It is breaking through those injustices. And we have seen that with Black Lives Matter and what is taking place right now in the world. Progressive changes are ahead. This is a progressive energy. Now it's moved back for the next couple of months in its comfortable sign. More issues with politics. Let's see. Progressive changes are ahead, like I've just said, and this is radical changes. For the next few years, radical changes are going to take place. I don't even see there being in the very near future a GOP or a DNC. Change is coming in the next several years on that. There's not a whole lot going on for the next 10 days. The big one is actually on July 4th and 5th when we have a lunar eclipse full moon in Capricorn. Like I said, I will write a full newsletter on that in the days to come. And anytime we're dealing with a full moon in Capricorn, we are dealing with Capricorn is responsibility. It's logic, it's reason, but it's also the father figure of the zodiac. It's responsibility, it's career. It rules the 10th house of the zodiac. So it's about your career, your public standing, your accomplishments. And when it's a full moon and an eclipse, there's going to be a death and a rebirth of some sort coming. Remember, lunar eclipses are more internal. So they affect us on an internal level more than an outer level. And just be careful because we are in Mercury retrograde, and I do foresee this 4th of July being rather deadly in some way. A lot of accidents with fireworks, things like that. Just watch the news and you're going to see what I mean by this. But I'll write a full forecast on this in the few days to come. And we end the week on July 6th, 7th, and 8th. We end it with days of caution again, and we move into this Uranic phase, as I call it, and ancient astrologers call it a Uranic phase. We're working with the energies of Uranus and Aquarius. So we're going to hear about shocking news. Anytime we're dealing with a Uranic phase after a full moon, the news we receive will be more negative in nature than positive. It'll be shocking for a great many of us. This is also news about the bizarre, the unexplained, UFOs, ETs, SpaceX, NASA, aeronautics, crazy weather, electricity. What else can I about a Uranic phase? Sudden release of energy. So this is where we have earthquakes and explosions. Usually Moonic and Uranic phases are when Mother Earth becomes very active somewhere around the globe. There's maybe a eruption from a volcano or an earthquake above, 6 point or higher with this energy. So just be aware of these things. And like I said, with Mercury being retrograde, bad things can happen. After the full moon, it's really a time to take caution, especially because we're still in this retrograde period. And even for myself, being in Arizona for 10 days, I saw a lot of accidents on the road, both on the highway driving there, and also on the way back, but also within the town. I saw a lot of car accidents, things like that. So Mercury retrograde, chain reaction accidents, chain reaction events. But that is your forecast for July 1st through the 10th. Not too much going on for the next couple of days, but like I said, the big one, the granddaddy of them all, is the full moon eclipse, lunar eclipse in Capricorn, which is going to affect each and every soul by house and sign. And I will write a full forecast on that. I did want to get on here, and I might save this for my full moon forecast. I spent some time in Sedona. I rewarded myself after working for a week on my house. I rewarded myself with a weekend retreat in Sedona, and I went on a spiritual meditation with someone named Rogelio, and I'll put his I'm going to try and have him on here one day. Put his he is also an astrologer. A little bit different method than I practice, but nevertheless, he's an astrologer. And there are some things I've said in the past. When other astrologers, and it doesn't matter what method they're practicing, there's like 85 different ways to run an astrology chart. Okay, you've got Vedic astrologers, you've got ancient astrologers like myself, you have modern astrologers. They're all kind of saying the same thing. Now, he and I had a long discussion about President Trump. And I remember last week when I came on here and I talked about my pendulum work and how my pendulum wouldn't move left, right, back and forth. It just spun in a spiral motion without any direction or guidance. This is the fifth or sixth person now who has said to me they do not see President Trump making it to election day, that he could possibly die. Now, that is not something I'm wishing, okay? First of all, I may not like his politics, but I don't wish death upon anybody. That would be the reason why my pendulum did what it did. This gentleman that I spent time with over the weekend said he sees some negativity. It has a lot to do, I believe he's a modern astrologer, so this has a lot to do with the Pluto conjuncting Saturn that's going through his chart, his own personal chart. We discussed this a couple of weeks ago, and I said I'd have to continue to revise it. And I'm going to have to as soon as Biden picks his running mate. But he's not the only astrologer who has said this. Other astrologers that I do follow, that do practice modern astrology, have said the same, very exact same thing. So for myself, I even had a fellow broom sister private message me after my show. My broom sister, Deb, private messaged me after one of my shows when I was explaining the pendulum. And she even said the same thing. I'm worried that the government might take him out. And there's that possibility too, okay? There's a lot of different possibilities and scenarios. I don't think he's very healthy, personally, health-wise. And I think that might be an issue. Saying our government's going to take him out might be an extremity, but you never know. But when shamans, when astrologers, when psychics, and when other people in the esoteric realm that all walk a very different path, but are still under the umbrella of the esoteric realm, are saying the same thing, you have to wake up and listen. You have to just sit there and go, okay, something is clearly going on here celestially. When people of all different astrology paths are seeing the same thing, whether it's myself doing the Nostradamus method and the ancient method, or whether it's Rahilio who's practicing his method, or another astrologer I follow named Larry who practices a modern path as well. I'm noticing this. And it's the ones that have the guts to come out and say it are the ones that it's coinciding with other things. And even some of my psychic friends are saying they don't like what they're seeing for the president. I've said before, I don't even know if there's going to be an election. Something shocking will be coming around that time. And in the weeks and days to come, once Biden picks his run, I will start running those stars. As for Biden, if Biden does get elected, he will not make it through his term. That's a gimme. The next energy that's coming starting in late January of 2022 is going to be in Scorpio. Biden is a Scorpio. The tail is going to be in Scorpio, right on Biden. So this means that anytime you have a dragon's tail sitting there in your first house or in your house of health, this can take your life, or this can make you ill. There can be issues with that because the energy is negative and it's on you. Those of us out there like myself, I just got through this. We had a Capricorn dragon tail. This was on me for 1.5 years. I got through it, but I got through it because I know how to read the stars. I know my red light and my green light days. I know when to go and when not to go. So when it goes into Scorpio, it's going to be very dangerous for Biden. I almost said President Biden, Vice President Biden, if he does get elected. The next couple of months are going to be very interesting. And through the next months, I will keep you up to speed on things and what is going on within the world, astrologically speaking. So like I said, once Biden chooses that running mate, I will immediately run their stars. There's speculation that it could be Michelle Obama. I'm going to have to go look at her stars. Someone said Oprah. I do believe it will be a woman of color. That I do believe. For all we know, Trump may just drop out completely. There's that possibility too. I'm trying to think of the more positive scenario. I'd rather him just drop out completely than lose his life. But that is the forecast for July 1st through the 10th, and my little spiel about politics, which is really not my favorite subject. But I hope everyone is doing well. I will try and get back on here in a couple of days before the 4th of July to do your full moon forecast. So until then, you guys be safe out there. And this is the last few days of getting things done, making things happen. Once that moon goes full, it is a resting period. Regroup, refocus. Anyway, I'll talk to you all later. Have a great day. Ciao.